Now on KGW News, progress on Mount St. Helens, the route that just reopened a month after a landslide, and what it'll take to fully clear the way. Plus, doorstep surveillance and social media chats help police bust a suspected drug dealer.
I hope she never comes back anywhere near this neighborhood.
And Portland's mayor has a new plan to put a dent in drug use. The proposal to at least make it less visible. But first, run over by a desperate thief.
Nothing was going to stand in his way of getting out of there.
How this delivery driver was hit while picking up food for a local charity. Thanks for joining us. I'm Catherine Cook, in tonight for David. That Salem man is slowly recovering. He's still in the hospital nearly 3 weeks after the thief hit him, then took off. Alma McCarty spoke with him this afternoon and joins us now. Alma.
Well, Catherine, Gary Adams told me over Zoom from his hospital room he'll be unable to walk at least for the next couple of months. For a decade, he's worked for Union Gospel Mission, but he doesn't know if or when he can return.
The morning of May 30th, Gary Adams was doing what he's done for the past 10 years, picking up donations for Union Gospel Mission of Salem.
2 years for the clothes and furniture side, and then 8 years for the food side.
One of the stops on his route, this McDonald's on Lancaster Drive Northeast. Now, weeks later, from his hospital room, he's sharing the story about what went wrong.
And I was coming up to the back of my truck and I heard it start up. I dropped the bags and went around to the front and opened the door, and I tried grabbing the guy and pulling them out. And of course I startled him and he floored it when it was in reverse.
He lost his grip, fell to the pavement, and the suspect in his truck ran over his hip. Adams said all he could do was watch as the man sped out of the parking lot.
I saw him driving away and I could not move. My legs would not move. My arms were barely moving. You could tell nothing was going to stand in his way of getting out of there.
Salem police say people out on the road reported the reckless driver in the box truck heading up I-5. Officers say that suspect, a man later identified as 42-year-old Eloy Tello, crashed around this area in Woodburn, and that's where they arrested him. He's charged with assault, hit and run, theft, and DUI.
I'm glad he was apprehended, and so fast.
In the weeks since the incident, Adams has had 2 surgeries to put his hip and leg back together.
It's just going to be a long progress. It might be 3 months down the road before I'll even be able to use a walker.
Despite this painful setback, he's overflowing with gratitude and looking forward to rejoining his team at Union Gospel Mission.
They said that they're just waiting for me. To have all these people knowing that they're all behind me and they're always thinking of me is just an uplift and helps me keep going.
There's a GoFundMe page for Adams to help with some of the medical expenses. We'll have a link to it on KGW.com. As for the suspect, he was indicted on the hit and run charges last week. He's still in the Marion County Jail. Catherine?
What a story, Alma. Thank you so much. New at 11, Portland's mayor is considering outlawing the public use of hard drugs. His office plans to release details of a proposal next week. As first reported by the Willamette Week, the mayor wants to impose criminal penalties for open-air drug use. That's something that's clearly been a problem in parts of downtown where our crews often see people using fentanyl. When Oregon voters passed Measure 110, it decriminalized possession of small amounts of hard drugs. So right now, all police can do is hand out fines. Meanwhile, federal agents in Clackamas County just busted a teenager they say was selling drugs to minors. The 19-year-old is accused of using social media sites to sell drugs, including cocaine and Xanax. Detectives have tied some of the drugs to overdose cases. Mike Benner has more on the teen suspect.
All was quiet Friday morning at this home in the Windswept Waters neighborhood in Damascus. But earlier this week, it was a much different story.
I've never seen that many, FBI and cops, and they had to canines.
Meredith Racky watched as a small army of law enforcement officials raided the townhome right next to hers. It was all part of a drug distribution investigation. And at the center of it, the young woman you see in this surveillance photo, Avery Dickinson. Authorities say this photo shows the 19-year-old putting drugs on her front doorstep for customers to pick up, as you see in this photo.
It was just kind of obvious to everyone that something big is going on at this house.
That's putting it lightly. Court documents obtained by KGW say in addition to putting drugs on her front porch, Dickinson would deliver them herself or have runners deliver them for her, oftentimes to juveniles, enamored by Dickinson's sales pitches on the social media sites Telegram, Snapchat, and Instagram. Kiki's delivery service, as it was called, was peddling cocaine, acid, Molly, and Xanax pills, among other things, according to federal prosecutors.
It's terrifying. Like, I don't know. I just don't feel safe living here. Yeah, I had no idea that much was going on. I had no idea what they were selling.
What is clear is that the operation was lucrative. Inside Dickinson's Damascus home, detectives found thousands of dollars in cash, as well as a loaded handgun under her pillow and a loaded assault rifle in the laundry room.
I do imagine like a gun or, a bullet coming through my wall because I share walls with them.
It goes without saying Meredith Racky is beyond relieved that police moved in when they did and arrested the suspected drug dealer.
I hope she never comes back anywhere near this neighborhood, and I don't know.
That was Mike Benner reporting. During Avery Dickinson's first appearance in federal court, a judge decided she'll stay in jail for now. Okay, let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. Crews just reopened the Coldwater Lake Recreation Area on Mount St. Helens, along with a nearby trail system. They'd been closed since last month's landslide. The popular Johnson Ridge Observatory remains closed, and there are still 9 cars stuck on Highway 505 that were caught in the slide. Officials plan to spend the next 30 days clearing debris in that area. Then they want to open a temporary road for official access only so they can get those stranded cars out. Permanent repairs will take a lot longer. Pacific Power has filed to possibly raise customer rates to help pay for millions of dollars in damages it owes for starting wildfires in 2020. A jury this week found Pacific Power liable for the Labor Day wildfires. They're ordered to pay at least $90 million to people affected by the fires. A spokesperson for Oregon's Public Utility Commission says when the time comes to take action, it'll create a transparent public process to hear all opinions on Pacific Power's request. And heads up for MAX riders, you should expect delays if you take the Red Line. Starting Sunday, trains will not run from the Gateway Transit Center to the airport. Instead, shuttle buses will serve the Gateway, Park Rose, Cascade, and Mount Hood MAX stations. It's part of the Better Red project. Crews will lay down new tracks and a new platform at PDX. The service disruptions will continue through October 21st. Now to the Portland Trailblazers' future and the big off-season question, what will they do with their 3rd overall pick in the draft? Today, the team hosted top prospect Brandon Miller for a pre-draft workout. He's considered one of the best shooters in this draft class. At Alabama this past season, Miller averaged nearly 19 points and just over 8 rebounds a game. He shot nearly 40% from the three-point line, and at 6'9", he thinks he could be the right fit to play with Damian Lillard and the Trailblazers.
I think I feel great. I see myself coming off a lot of actions like that with Dame. I know he's a great vet. For me, just to be under his wing, I think that's a good duo.
Miller is projected to be a top 3 pick in the draft, and the Blazers happen to have the number 3 pick. The NBA draft is next Thursday.